have been tired. Believe me, no. After reaching Cochin, it has been such a beautiful journey. Just seeing the Cochin airport, such a clean and beautiful environment, and then the journey from there to Munnar has really been beautiful. And on the way, I went to Munnar office also, which was, I think, a very inspirational visit. When you see a small office with just 2 or 3 people doing so much business, it's very good. And we last met in March in Bench. Yes, that was also a wonderful trip and very memorable. We discussed many things, and post-March you all have completed the year of 21-22 with a whopping premium of 3,813 against 3,027 crores. So that is an increase of nearly 800 crores has been added, more than 800 crores has been added by our RO, which is probably more than many of the ROs in New India. So congratulations to each one of you, and a big round of applause to each one of you. I would say that each one of you is an inspired office in charge, whether it is a branch or whether it is a division or whether it is the RO, headed by your DGM par excellence. Very inspiring and motivated team. I don't think this team requires any motivation or any inspiration. You're just doing it all on your own, which is really amazing, and I think you're an inspiration to all the others in New India. You all are proud to be part of this RO, and I would say I'm very proud to be your overseeing GM. It gives me a lot of pleasure to interact with each one of you and to see what best I can do to take this RO forward. Last when we met, we had discussed some issues pertaining to each DO. I had noted down most of the issues. Some issues I was able to help. I think particularly regarding the claims, we have done our best to ensure that majority of the claims could be cleared in March, which were at head office. Some claims, of course, 1 or 2 are there which are still in the offing, which could not be cleared due to some reasons, which we are now making attempts to clear. But there are ongoing issues which we will continue to do our best to resolve, and I'm sure each one of you will put in your best effort to ensure that this RO continues to move smoothly in the best way forward. Today, there are a lot of changes in the industry, particularly for the PSU insurers. You're all hearing about KPI. I would just like to mention that these the features that are part of the current KPI are not something unique. These are things which we have been earlier talking for the last 4 to 5 years, maybe even more. During the time Mr. G. Srinivasan was heading as CMD, we had started this concept of ICR earned premium. It was something which was new to most of us. But I think that has put us on the path of understanding what is the impact of the premium, what is the impact of the claims on each financial year. And we have also tried to focus earlier also on profitable growth. Earlier also the focus was on trying to reduce the premium by 5% every year. We have been able to move on that path. Unfortunately, the pandemic offset to some extent. We were not able to focus entirely on those aspects. This KPI will bring us back to those particular aspects. So I would just like to run the presentation for each one of you. This is a presentation which we have made for the ROs. There are some aspects which would not be applicable to MRO3 because being a more corporate office, there are some aspects particularly on retail business which would not be applicable to your RO. So I will quickly go through. I'll skip those slides, but the rest I would just like to explain to you. I've heard that you have had a mock session, probably a 1 full day session, and you are all experts on this. But from my context and from HO context, I would just like to explain to you what are the reasoning and what are the factors which we would be considering. So, Ram, what is on my laptop? Yeah. Yeah, so just quickly going out on this, the key performance indicators. These are going to be for 3 years, and actually this started last year. In September itself, we have started having the conversation with the DFS regarding the KPIs. This was not actually rolled out to the ROs because there was a lot of ongoing conversation and discussion with the Ministry of Finance to try to tweak some of the aspects. Some of the aspects were very, very difficult to achieve or even to do, and I think even to some extent the DFS needed to understand the practical aspects of what they were coming out with. So there has been a lot of back and forth, and I think Ramkumar was part of the team which was initially discussing how to revert the DFS on some aspects. So this is now in the final shape, and this will be going forward for the 3 years. However, there could be changes on certain parameters from time to time. So coming to the next thing, the 3 main themes of the KPI are going to be, the first is going to be profitable growth. Second is efficiency and rationalization. And the third is stakeholders satisfaction. I'll be running you quickly through each of these aspects, just for your information. So the first one, profitable growth, next slide, would be dealing on 4 aspects. The first aspect is growth in risk-adjusted premium income. Second is implementation of SIPs. Third is policy growth, and the fourth is the go-to-market. Now the last 3 would not apply to MRO3 because these are more for retail offices. So we'll concentrate on the first one, that is growth in RPI, and just to give you an understanding of what RPI basically is. Now RPI is just a function of your gross premium. Coming to the next the slide itself. What is RPI? It is basically adjusting your gross premium, taking a benchmark of the ICR. Now for instance, the benchmark ICR has to be 75%. Now just to give you an example of your RO. Last year your RO did a premium of 3,813. This was a gross premium. The ICR on earned basis was 89%. Now you compare it to the benchmark of 75. How much difference is there between 89 and 75? 14%. So to that extent, your GDPI would not be considered, up to 14% would not be taken into consideration for your target completion if we were doing the RPI basis of calculation. So your weightage would be 100 minus 14, that is 86%. Your GDPI, that 3813 that you did, it would be taken into consideration only 86% of that. It works out to 3,276. So basically, the difference, 537 crores of GDPI, which you have actually done last year, would not be considered as part of your target completion. So this is just to give you an idea how the impact of your ICR would be on the overall gross premium, right? So what should the focus be then on? ICR. To bring it as close to 75% as possible. Okay, so just to give you an example, the next slide. This is an example of an office which does a premium of say 200 crores and the ICR is less than 75%. Now if you see the ICR on earned basis, the second column, the fire is 60%, marine is 65, motor is 65, health is 70. So this is not a realistic example at all. And engineering here is very high, 150%. Your miscellaneous is 42.5. Overall ICR on earned basis is 70%. So what would be the weightage for RPI? Individually, each of the lines of business are less than 75% except engineering. So each LOB would get a weightage of 100% except engineering, which would be reduced to only 25%. But the overall, so if you take on LOB wise basis and calculate the total, your GDPI would be only 188.75. But here we will not take the LOB wise RPI, we will look at the aggregate. So aggregate, since your ICR is less than 75%, your RPI on aggregate basis will remain 200. And what will be considered as completed will be 200. Okay, so even though on individual basis your LOB is coming down to 188 because of the high ICR in engineering, it will still be counted since the overall ICR is less than 75, which is the benchmark. Your GDPI, RPI will be considered equivalent to GDPI, that is 200. Right? Is everyone clear on this?
Yes,
No, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, now then for current year also, the 75% will include health and everything?
Yes, yes.
It will include health?
Yes. So I'll come to the next example, which is a more realistic, including health. So the next example is where the ICR is more than 75%. Now here again the premium done is the same, 200. This is another office which has done the same, 200 crores. Here the ICR on LOBs, fire, marine, motor, engineering, miscellaneous, means all the other LOBs is less than 75. However, health is more at 117%. And your overall ICR on earned basis is 95. So the weightage for the other LOBs other than health will be 100%. So each LOB will get the full credit. But your health business will come down to 58% of what you've completed, that is 70 to 50. So on LOB basis, it comes to 147.5. However, what we will consider on aggregate basis is 95% is the ICR completed on earned basis, 95 minus benchmark 75, that is 20%. So 20% gets reduced from your GDPI of 200 and RPI on aggregate basis will be 160. So why I'm giving you this LOB wise separately, it's a little confusing because why I'm giving you on LOB wise basis to understand which one is going to impact your overall RPI. So that is important for you to understand as the office in charge that where the ICR is going to be high, finally it is going to impact your RPI. In the end you will get some benefit of the overall ICR being taken into consideration and the overall aggregate GDPI. But individually you have to notice how the LOBs will be behaving based on the ICR. Right? Is this clear? Indira? I think
Yes, ma'am.
yeah.
So there will be element of cross subsidy.
Element of cross subsidy is there. So actually, I did some calculations. If you even do a growth in health, but try to keep your ICR less than 100. Even if you bring it say 95, 96 overall. Some of the, I'm not saying you have to consider it health. What I'm saying is that health will automatically grow because you are going to be setting right the pricing. 90% of, I would say 80 to 90% of your clients will remain with you despite the pricing aspect because there will be some arguments, there will be some discussions with the client, but looking to the market trends and looking to what has happened in the month of April and May to some extent, most of the businesses have been retained even at the higher pricing, even at the correction in the pricing. There has been some business which has been lost to other PSUs, but sooner or later that is going to get corrected because other PSUs, please remember, are also guided by this KPI, right? And other PSUs, believe me, they come under more pressure from the ministry than we do. They have received funds from the Ministry of Finance. They have signed MOUs with the DFS saying that they will be doing this, they will be doing that. So if some of them are not complying with certain aspects of this, believe me, it is going to get corrected in the long run. It's only in the short term that there could be some disruptions. Right?
Ma'am, for our RO, if you see for this last year, 89%, 136% was for credit insurance, ICR on EP, 136% and health 138%. So overall, if we took, then it came to 89 now. So then even credit insurance also we need to take care, no?
Each and every line of business, every business you have to take. See, we must understand what is the reasoning behind doing this RPI. Why are we doing this calculation on a benchmark of 75% ICR? Finally, whatever is the outgo, whether it is due to CAT claims, sometimes due to CAT claims we say we should get the credit for it. Finally, it is going out from your company's funds. Your financial strength is getting reduced. Already you have seen the solvency has been coming down, right? Right now, New India is one of the few PSUs with a solvency above 1.5. Many a times we get that, I think 90% of the times we stand tall in front of clients. We stand tall in front of other private companies. We stand tall when it comes to other PSUs. We are able to get more business because of the solvency. We don't want this to come down. But believe me, once you start going on that downward trajectory, the route traveled is much faster than going upward. To come down is very easy, but to go up is going to be extremely difficult. So we have to keep in mind that the solvency, which is, finally all this is impacting our financial strength. finally the impact is on your solvency. We've already gone down to 1.83. We will be getting the results very shortly in the month of May. I think the board meeting has been announced for 23rd May. So we will be shortly getting to know those results. We have to ensure it is in the interest of all of us here. All of us have worked in New India for many, many years. I think maybe more than 30 years each one of us. We have to ensure that the financial strength of the company remains strong. Right? So it is important that whatever we give out, whatever is paid out from our finances has to be accounted for, and we have to be accountable for it. Right? So, like I was mentioning, your health, even if you don't want to grow, even if you don't want to take any new business, your existing clients itself, because of the correction in pricing, because of inflationary trends, or because of increase in lives, your premium is bound to grow there. Right? So it cannot be that it will totally be stagnant. But we have to ensure, we have to work more towards ensuring that the pricing is right and that the ICR remains within less than 100.
Madam, actually, if one office claim ratio is very much favorable for 30-40%, suddenly one big catastrophe, one single claim comes and claim ratio become 150%, for example. Whether any cushion for one single claim, is there some limit, maximum, something?
We might consider it on RO to RO basis. In fact, this has been a discussion which we have been ongoing, because we have had this discussion with all the RO in charges and most of them have made this. But do remember that now every year there is a catastrophe somewhere or the other. Right? And earlier it used to be once in a few years. Now it is practically everywhere, sometimes 2 in a year. Right? 2 or 3 in a year. And finally, don't forget that the money is being paid out from New India. Even if we consider, we give the benefit to one RO or another 2-3 ROs regarding the CAT claims, finally the head office, while doing the overall calculations, has to take that into account. It's a payout. Right? So this is under consideration, and it may be considered at a later date, depending on, so this is an evolving concept, and there may be changes coming in the future. Maybe the 75 might go up, it might come down. But as of now, this is, it will be considered, all claims will be considered. Maybe going forward, since there has been a request from all RO in charges, there could be a consideration for very high claims to be capped at a certain level. So we'll move on. I don't want to take too much time on this. So this is regarding SIPs. We can skip this. This is more for retail ROs and to increase the retail business. Again, this is go-to-market approach for having more than 50% of the staff for business development. Coming to the next one, efficiency and rationalization. Again, there are certain parameters here. Organizational efficiency, claims efficiency, settlement efficiency, that's basically the claim settlement efficiency. Very important for you all, reconciliation efficiency, branch rationalization and cost rationalization. So among these, maybe the the branch rationalization may not really impact you all. So we'll just go through these one by one. The first one is organizational efficiency. Here the most important aspect for you to understand is that the APARs of each and every employee are going to be linked and going to be made objective, and quantifiable KPIs are going to be rolled out for each and every employee every year. Right? So this is going to be a feature not just for the office, or not just for the divisional office, and not just for the divisional in charge, but also for each and every employee. So the other aspect is that large corporate businesses are going to be shifted to individual offices. This is again applicable for other ROs, not to your, because in your case I think each office is doing large corporate business. So coming to the next is reduction in incurred claim ratio on a year-on-year basis. We have to bring down our ICR by at least 7% down from the expiring one. So in your case, if it was 89, your overall ICR has to come down to at least 82. Right? Going forward, from 82, it has to come down to 75. Right? But after that, of course, the trajectory will be slower. But the intention is that you need to focus on bringing down your year-on-year ICR down to by at least 7% or 84%, whichever is lower. Now, in this context, you all have heard a lot about GMCs. I would just like to mention here and also make it clear to each one of you, we are not exiting the GMC segment. We are not coming out of the health sector. Our focus is going to remain on improving the health of the health sector. right? So we have to ensure that the GMC comes to a viable position. Right now, if you are collecting 100 rupees and paying 120 rupees, it doesn't make sense. No businessman is going to do that. This is what we are currently doing in GMC. So we need to bring that right. At least out of 100 rupees we get, make 1 rupee over there. At least bring it down to 99. So in that is for the whole portfolio, not for individual GMCs. So when you are renewing, any GMC comes up for renewal, please remember you need to look at 3 years ICR. Again, I'm saying, I'm emphasizing on the word 3 years. Many a time when you send proposals to HO for renewal, you are just mentioning the last year's ICR. So now when you are recommending, please look at the 3 years ICR. It could be because in the last 2 years, pandemic has happened. Last year particularly, the claim ratio has been adverse. Before that, the GMCs were working towards a better ICR. They were moving in the range of 98-95%. However, the pandemic has brought the ICR much higher than what it was earlier. So when you are recommending to HO, keep in mind a few things. I see many recommendations which come not just from your RO, from other ROs which I am overseeing. They just do the calculation on the Excel sheet, beginning number of lives, end number of lives, the premium, and the incurred claims as on a certain date. So the calculation in Excel is a very simple thing. So, and the calculation comes to say 20 crores. But you are recommending for 15 crores. Why? Who's going to agree for that? There has to be some reasoning. So try to justify. Show the 3 years claim ratio. If your average of 3 years claim ratio, last year's claim ratio may be 120%, but your average of 3 years claim ratio is coming to say 98 or 99. It's a good GMC. You need to project it that way. It could be that the number of lives, suppose it started with 1,000 lives, it ended with 2,000 lives. There's a difference of 1,000 lives. Now, if you do that calculation, the impact is going to be huge. But it could be that, say, 800 lives were added in the very second month of the policy. So, in that case, you need to project it that way, that, if it has, these 800 lives should be considered in the very beginning. And then, the calculation will definitely get a difference. So, you need to make it viable. You need to see, suppose there were some major claims due to some particular reason. Suppose the employee is no longer there, or there has been some other impact due to COVID, for instance. You can highlight that and bring that out. Anu does that. I've seen that when she sends to the HO. But again, when you as divisional in charges are sending it to RO, and RO in turn sends it to HO, make it a viable proposition before sending it. Because otherwise, just to recommend on a basis of 20 to recommend for 15, it becomes very difficult for me also to put it across to the department, right? And when you are recommending for cross subsidization, you have to now look at that the overall client portfolio should be at least not more than 95%. Also, if it's a standalone GMC, you have to price it in such a way that the the ICR would be projected at 90%, right? So there too, you have to bifurcate your GMCs into two. One is a standalone GMC where there's no other business coming in. The second is a GMC which is countered by other business. But other business means it should be substantial, not a small. If you're getting a 20 crores GMC and you have PA premium of say a few lakhs, it's not going to be a really viable proposition. You should get other business, maybe liability, maybe property, maybe some project premium. And this, if you're suggesting that it will be coming in, you have to put a benchmark for the time period also within which it's expected to come in, right? The other portfolio business.
So, ma'am, this combined 95% will also be 3 year comparison you want? Or?
See, the idea from to exit from a GMC which is not viable is a 3-year basis. So I would suggest you do that analysis. You might get just 1 year, last year expiring year, the GMC might have been adverse. To the previous 2 years, it might have been adverse. Combined you can show.
Well, madam, at the same time, as you said, 1 lakh, 2 lakh was small other portfolio. So if that is also defined, suppose 20 crore is GMC, what should be other portfolio minimum?
I think
10%,
that's not,
5%,
if you
some
define it
some
too much.
indications.
See, if you
Otherwise,
define
it
it
will
too
be always
much,
confusing.
if you define it too much, it may be very difficult
No,
to
maybe
observe.
some range, at least 10% or 15% or 20%.
Combined.
The catch is that most GMCs, the bigger ones, are with the IT sector and the consultants and all, where the non-GMC premium is hardly anything. So we cannot come to any benchmark like that for them.
But I know even in those policies, even such clients, they have other business. Some asset premium will be there which they're placing globally. Then they have some liability premium again which they're placing with the private sector. They'll be placing with ICICI or Tata Elxsi. We need to start working on getting those businesses also. All of them have cyber policies. If it's a large software company, all of them will have cyber policies. They'll have DNO, CGL, all those policies will be there. And those are big ticket policies. We need to start looking at those also.
Ma'am, every time the broker comes and tells that for these liability policies, for the cyber risk, for the assets, we have a global mandate where we have to go with Allianz or with the AIGs or with the Ergos and all. This is the brokers. This we have been seeing for last 5-6 years.
Then why don't they place the GMC with them?
Exactly, ma'am. Because they know that GMC
Put
will
a
be
share
placed.
to Mango and say. Tell
Ma'am.
them, okay, maybe those policies are there with them for many years, maybe they've settled claims on those, but at least we should try to get some share in this to offset this GMC. They will not pick up the GMC. Because
That
they
we know,
it's going
that
to
we
be
know,
loss-making.
that we know, but
Yeah.
because of that target issues, no DM is, can say, okay, I am refusing GMC because you are not bringing me other shares.
No, but
No,
the
even
target is
such-
adjusted.
Now it is adjusted. Now it is
Now
adjusted.
even such brokers, see, even if they're not, if this particular client may not have other business, but the broker can bring some other property premium of some other client too. That also they can offset. See, the broker is placing business with your office because he is interacting frequently with you. So if he's got a GMC of a X which is standalone, let him bring some Y's property premium or Y's liability premium which may be profitable.
One big broker, I will not name it in the house, but during our deliberations in the couple of days prior to this, we came to know that he says that we have a philosophy of not changing the insurer. So means that you are placing GMC with us, you will keep on placing GMC with us, you are placing property with some XYZ insurer, you will keep on placing, and it's such a big broker we cannot fight with.
So ठीक है, GMC if they're placing with us, then it has to be the right price, na?
1 hour wait.
Yeah.
1 hour wait.
We are not
That
saying
is
no,
true.
we are not saying that we will not do this, but bring it at the right price at least. If he is not going to ship to, then all the better, let him give it at the right price.
That should be.
Yeah. So going forward, we need to improve the claim settlement efficiency. Of course, again, MRO3 is, I would say, the benchmark is already high. But this is again on motor claims. I won't dwell too much on this. But you do have an office which deals in motor claims also. So I just want to tell you that we are looking at coming out with a app-based settlement of motor claims up to 50,000. This has been in the offering for quite some time, but now we have looked seriously at least 2 vendors, and this is an AI-based technology. So through which the photographs are taken through the app and uploaded, probably given to a surveyor who will look at it and give the report based on those photographs immediately within a day or 2. And the settlement of such claims has to be done immediately. So 100% settlement of claims up to 50,000 would be app-based. So this would be something I think which would help the claim settlement to improve. And I think this is something which is required. It's definitely required. Yes. So those offices which are dealing with motor claims also request you to increase the garage network so that we can improve the cashless settlement. Coming to the other LOBs, the expectation is that 90% of the claims with estimate up to 50,000 would be settled within a TAT of maximum 7 days from receipt of documents and 30 days for all other claims. Also to increase the year-to-date claim settlement year-on-year. So moving on to the next thing is of course very important for your RO, that is reconciliation and settlement of co-insurance and reinsurance balances. Again, now this is a feature that was required that from 1st April itself that everything 100% has to be uploaded in ETAS. And going forward there should not be any delay. However, we have discussed with them and we're trying to bring this feature from June onwards or maybe maximum July. Right? So from July onwards there should be 100% upload of all co-insurance balances in ETAS. I know there are some challenges here, particularly regarding the claim settlements. Again, there is a request for including the upload of claims on a better way than what it is currently. So this is going to actually be part of the KPI, and if you have seen the sheet that has been sent to you, there is weightage given on this aspect also.
Madam, this is not clear. To reconcile and settle 100% of insurance. How it can be 100% settlement of claims?
Well, on a quarterly basis.
On quarterly basis. Suppose any transaction comes in the last week of June. How it can be settled within this
No,
month?
last week of June, if it comes, it has to be settled by the next quarter.
Madam, you say next quarter. This quarter transactions will be settled by next
Next
quarter.
quarter.
So madam,
By next
what
quarter,
about
correct?
the
Madam,
old
this quarter
balances?
transaction has to be settled by
Next
next quarter. 3 months time we are
3 months time.
90 days.
So you must understand, I think you're aware of it also, that this impacts the solvency. If it is more than 90 days pending, we cannot take the credit for that. So then to that extent, it affects again your financial strength, your solvency part. So more than 90 days is, less than 90 days is the cutoff.
What about the old balances, carry forward balances?
See, old balances, again, this is something which is a discussion going on with the accounts department also. And I think some call has to be taken on this, otherwise entire thing will not be possible.
मैम इसमें एक इशू है many times where we are followers we are waiting for the policy documents and it takes 2 to 3 months for the policy to reach from the leader to us. So in that case we are not able to prove how we will settle the balance.
Most of your co-insurances are with whom?
Some are, because we are not leaders, very rare, most we are
No, is it
leaders.
PSUs or is it
Private,
private?
Both, ma'am.
KPI, ICICI,
Both.
Yeah.
they also don't approve on ETA on time.
Who follow up करना पड़ेगा? It has to be through the broker. See, if it is going to be a PSU, then this is applicable for them also. So the improvement should have to come from the other PSUs also. If it is a private, then I think the broker is the best solution to follow up with them.
Well, once this platform is launched on April 1st, 2018, so if we are the followers, by a little search, if we get the details, without asking the follower, we can book ourselves. But that is not happening. So in our case, the moment we book a policy, close to ETAs. But in case of private players, mostly private players, it doesn't come on the ETAs. Public sector players, they are not actually issuing the policy. That is why it is not coming. So they are delaying in issuing the policy. That is the reason. But private players, they are not, I think, linked with ETAs.
Many of them are linked, I think.
Because
Who is not linked?
Tata still, we are the followers. The policy should be issued with effect from 1st April. Now it is we don't have the details.
In fact, ma'am, Reliance CGL policy is with ICICI. They are the leaders we are following. The policy is of 22nd December, if I remember the date correctly. Till date, we have not received the closings for our share. We have been following. It has been told to us that the placement is not yet completed. We are in the 6th month of the policy.
Placement is not incomplete.
Yes, there was some issue. It is offshore CGL. So I've been discussing with the ICICI team, but they are every time we send the mail, they just reply that please wait, we are yet to issue the policy.
Most of these arguments come from the ICS and Tata AG.
Yes.
ICS are very complicated. They are sharing the risk assumption letter or something to the clients. The clients is happy, but if you are following with the ICS, they are not replying properly.
And that is why I
We
took,
have to find a solution.
that is why I took deliberately took
Next
ICICI.
step should be not to take shares from such rogue.
I was going to say that, then I don't want to be too negative over
No,
here.
no.
Already we're
Certain
talking about
rogue
GST.
insurers.
Ma'am, in your cabin, I took ICICI's name deliberately because they are the ones who are not behaving. Others, even including Oriental and National, they have started behaving as far as co-insurance is concerned. We have settled so many
Interest
balances.
should be included. Concept of interest should be brought in case of delayed payment. And that has to be followed.
So actually, I was going to say that we'll have to take a call on these kind of co-insurances which we are not getting, we are not able to get the benefit of it.
Leader is retaining
So-
the money and earning.
Correct.
Ma'am, first and most important thing is when this CTAS is launched, it should be perfect. The platform should be equal to all, private players, public players. We issued the policy for Tata Chemicals where we are the leaders. We were not able to save the policy, but I called the Tata people, you go and search on ITAS. He received all the details on ITAS. Without sending my policy document, they booked themselves. So that should happen for all.
Reverse.
Another thing maybe, whenever you are taking approval from co-insurer, HO gives the approval for the co-insurance, where there is a complete terms will be there that co-insurance settlement should happen within 90 days, otherwise our support will be withdrawn. Like this, if you put the condition and if you give to the broker and broker gives the ICICI, so it is a part of our approval that this condition is there. If you are not ready to settle within 90 days, then our cover like this will be this may be a start. Then I think another.
I think that's a good idea. I think that's a very good idea. Possibly we need to do this at least to
This,
start with.
this if we would put
Yeah.
it on the mail, then that will help us.
No, that's a great idea, and I think we should start that.
Yeah.
Right. So moving on to the next one is branch. I think we'll skip this and.
Even madam, we had an agreement now previously, co-insurance agreement was there. In that, the period was there, कि within this period, each co-insurer has to settle the account. We have to again work on that.
No, I think that's a great idea. We will put this, we'll start putting this condition that if the details are not received within 90 days, our supporters withdraw.
No, but during the last 1 year, since this focus on co-insurance, tremendous improvement in tremendous. So we just have
No,
to
I can
try
see
it.
the figures also, you can make out from the figures, and I think full credit goes to all of you
Yeah,
who have worked hard on this,
co-insurance
particularly in the month of March.
Yeah, yeah.
So the next step on this and the last step in this particular segment will be on cost rationalization. So we need to segregate our cost expenses into two segments. One is salary and retirement benefits, that will be separate. Now of course you can't have a cost reduction there because you are all waiting for a wage increase, I think. So the next one, the other aspect, we have to look at getting a reduction in that by at least 20%. Right? So last of course is the stakeholder satisfaction. We have three stakeholders, main stakeholders in the organization: the customer, the channel partners. Channel partners are your agents, your brokers, your dealers, MISP partners, and lastly we have the employees. So all these stakeholders are very, very important. So what we have come out with, all the PSUs have joined hands with the National Insurance Academy, and they will be conducting a survey for all these three different segments: customers separately, channel partners separately, and employees separately. They'll be taking a segment of these. We are collating the data and giving maybe 1% of the total, 1 to 5% of the total requirements are going to be shared with NIA, and they will be conducting the survey. So the parameters are right now being worked out, and what queries are going to be raised to the customers, what queries are going to be raised to the channel partners, and what queries are going to be raised to the employees regarding their engagement with the organization. And the expectation is that on a scale of 1 to 5, we should get at least 3.5. So it's important that we continue. This is not something that needs to be told to all of you, and you are all doing it very well. Continue the engagement with your customers, your brokers, and with the employees, of course. And I'm sure we will all get a rating of more than 3.5 at least.
But all in the motivational trainings to the staff is very important. In our role is
No, you have to do it. I remember when I was in Bangalore, and when I was in MRO1, we were conducting such, trainings. You can get some speakers from outside, have some trainings for some of your segments, have for of course you all don't have agents. Brokers don't need any motivation, but you can have it for your employees. You can have some, again, your customers are not your retail customers, so there's no point in having some kind of interaction with all customers, but you can have that interaction. Workshops, you can start again. We used to do so many customer workshops. This has all been stopped because of the pandemic. Start engaging more with your customers. Have some workshops, where you're having project insurances. You can have a workshop with their engineering teams to explain them how what the policy covers, how the claim settlement can be done. I think we now need to get back on that. I think MRO3 was doing a lot of these workshops for the customers.
So, madam, I was talking to All India because when I was handling Tata office, we used to interact with the offices, and customers were pleading we are not getting any support from the local offices. So, motivational training to All India should be there. People do not have that approach to any local offices.
Yeah.
So, the customer doesn't know where to go.
now, if you all are heading the Tata Motors segment, then you all can do this individually with your offices which are aligned to your to the Tata Motors segment. I mean, this is something I think you all can have local engagements with the dealers there, with the local offices, to ensure that there is better interaction in both policies as well as in claims settlement. Yes, but point taken again, employee trainings are required. I remember earlier there was a requirement that 100% of the employees have to be trained at least once a year. Again, that has got stalled because of in the last 2 years, but we need to get back on that. So thank you very much, and we will be interacting now with each one of you, with each of the in charges, and discussing on